last interview, you told about after graduating college, you started work as a graphic designer, and then you moved to theater, and and you have done multiple jobs. So my question is, can you describe a memorable experience from your time as a graphic designer for a financial firm?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I haven't thought of this in so long. Yeah, I worked for a firm that did tax deferred annuities. I know, kind of dry, right? But they worked with companies like the Hartford. And if you're in the United States, you would know that company. Um, so at one point, so I did newsletters, and this was at the beginning of graphic design in um, that you did online in software like PageMaker, and I'm going back a ways. These sort of, being able to do a layout of like a newsletter or newspaper on your computer. It used to have to be done in big machines. So this was in the beginning where you could just be on your little computer and design a newsletter and design a brochure and all that. So at the very, very beginning. So I did a lot of that, moving image and text and making things look visually appealing for all of the marketing materials that the company was sending out. And one of them was a brochure for the Hartford insurance company. And I submitted illustrations for this brochure as a mock-up, like a sort of a temporary version that they would then have their illustrators come in. And they loved it so much that they used my work. And that was very, very exciting that a company that big wanted to, and I was right out of college, so that they wanted to use my designs and my illustrations. It was just such a validation for me. And there were just several moments like that where actually one of the biggest things was that I had a business card that said graphic designer on it. And I know that sounds like no big deal, but when you're a young artist coming out of college and right out of the gate, you have that title, not assistant, or I was the graphic designer for that company. Now it was a fairly small company, but that was really exciting. And I look back, if you're looking for an old memory that was really positive and inspiring, that was definitely one. Yeah, that was
Great, great,
crazy. I
great.
haven't
So
thought about that in so long.
yes, no, no issue. Uh, what motivated you to transition from graphic design to professional theater work?
Professional theater work.
Yes,
Is that what you said? Um,
yes,
well, actually, it's kind of a deep reason. I didn't like, when Ash talks about fighting corruption, I saw some things in the company I was working for that I didn't agree with, and I challenged them on it. And when they didn't uh, change, let's put it that way, I left the company, and I went through a very dark period in my life because I it was actually the darkest time of my life where I lost a little bit of faith in humanity when I saw the way certain people were treated in the company, and I felt powerless to change it. And so it was very depressing for me. It was a dark time. So I rethought my whole life, and and then I just started looking for some joy, and I looked into theater, and I had the very great privilege of doing some professional work for theaters in Philadelphia, the city, Walnut Street Theater. I did scenic art for them, and then I did some acting at Arden Theater Company in Philadelphia. And people that are in this area know those theaters. So I did get to taste that professional life. Now, I didn't stay in it. There's a lot of reasons. This is a whole lifetime we're talking about, where I made decisions to go in and out, some for health reasons, and all of that. But it's almost like I know life is short, and I want to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I do it. And so I feel like, okay, I've done that. Now I can do this. And now I just, that's why On Passive is so exciting to me, is that I know when you have that freedom, that total freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, you can play. You can do whatever brings you joy. Like Waseem, I would love to hear I know you love music. So you will be doing more with music, I am sure, when you have that total freedom. So that is kind of what I've done with my life in a way. I did juried art shows where I painted and was in shows and sold my paintings and all of that. I did logo design, just a lot of different things that I've gotten to do. And, but there was always that corporate job in the background that was sort of like the thing that kept me, being able to pay the bills, all of that. So anyway,
So,
that's
so,
just a little bit. That's a little
no,
bit.
no, no. So, ma'am, how did your experience in professional theater contribute to your personal growth? So, did you like? Yes.
Oh gosh, you were really going for the arts questions. Um, well, when I think of the time with the Arden Theater Company, that was where, again, it was about finding authenticity within you. When you're performing and creating a character, and finding that genuine, that realness, was really fun to explore. Working with a team of creative people. Like, I love theater and film. I also worked on some film projects where you get all of these creative. One dream I did not fulfill, and I don't know if I still have it, but was working for Pixar, the animation studio. There was a point at which I was thinking, ooh, that would be exciting, because they're so creative. And when you're in, say, a film studio, and you got the person holding the boom mic, you have the person that's directing, the person who's doing the lighting, you have this collective of creative people that you can't come out with the finished product unless everybody does their job. And I love that. Same thing with On Passive. You've got all these different people, the tech teams, the exec teams, the foundership, the founding members providing that support, that spreading of the good news. And if you don't have everybody doing their part, it either doesn't happen at all, or it takes longer, or it's more of a struggle, or all those things. So being a part of creative projects, which I consider On Passive very creative, very unique, and it's never been done before. It's like doing a new play that's never been seen before. It's kind of like that. A new play that's using a totally new kind of design, set design, or a new kind of whatever. I look at it like that. It's just, that's the thing that keeps me excited, is that group. And I tend to be a very solitary person creatively. Like, when I write songs, usually I'm all by myself working it out. But On Passive has pulled me and everybody else out of our comfort zones. And we're finding that even when I'm outside my comfort zone, I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm still safe, and I can still be me, and I can still be creative. And even if some people laugh at me, I have a whole global family that's going to support and encourage. And oh gosh, it's so wonderful. So that's a little bit about what theater, live theater did for me.
Great, great.
It's also
Did you
helping me
ever?
to talk right now.
Yes.
I would never be
Did,
able to get up and talk here if not for that.
did you ever act in theater? Like,
Yes. Yes, I did.
yeah.
In the Arden Theater, I was in their very first. I'm in the very
Oh,
first Waseem Friendly Talks live, the live one, and I also was in the very first group of acting interns at the Arden Theater Company in Philadelphia. It was when they first started the program, and there were only 4 of us. two girls, two
Mhm.
guys. And I was one of the
Oh,
girls. So what we did in that was we understudied, they had the professional actors coming in, and we were paid for this. We were paid actors. We They came in, they people, professionals auditioned for the shows, and then as an intern we were able to understudy these phenomenal performers. And so I understudied Ophelia in Hamlet, which was unbelievable. There were so many different shows, Dashiell Hammett play, just so many. And I also got to one of the people that played Hamlet was actually a local sportscaster in Philadelphia named Gary Papa. And anybody that's from Philadelphia listening here, they know who Gary Papa was. He's passed away now. Unfortunately, he had cancer. God bless him. But he
mhm,
was a sportscaster, very well known in the city. And he
mhm,
had a dream of being an actor. And so he auditioned and he got this role. And so when I did my rehearsals, I was able to rehearse with this gentleman who I saw on TV. And it was so funny. He was a very strong guy. He actually put bruises on my arms. He was so strong. And some of the scenes, if anybody knows the play Hamlet, Hamlet and Ophelia have it's a romantic relationship, and he grabs her at one point. Uh, but anyway, so just so many exciting moments like that that I got to do in theater. So I act there, and also some things up in at a musical theater program up in Maine. So yeah, I was very blessed. I got to do not a lot. Again, I did it for a few years, and then moved on to another time of my life.
great, great. So, ma'am, I know. Can you tell us about your experience as a voiceover artist and how it has enriched your life?
Oh wow! So that's one of those crazy
I miss,
things
I
where
miss this. I missed this question
yes,
last time.
yes, we were going to talk about it last time. Uh, Voiceover just, it's the craziest story and
Mhm,
magical and very serendipitous. I was in, when I was in high school and college, I sang in choirs. And one of the guys that I sang in choirs with after college, I sang with him in high school and then also in college. When he graduated, he went into professional voiceover work. He had a deep bass voice and he went right into the business. He did radio, he did commercials, very well known in the area, incredible voice. So he was in the industry, and we would do every once in a while get together and record choral work, beautiful choral work. We'd gather in a church with the acoustics so beautiful, and we would record, and it was just wonderful. So anyway, he had a job, a voiceover job at a local Philadelphia recording studio, and they needed a woman's voice. And he thought of me. I'd never done voiceover in my life. I'd never done it before. He called me in and he said, "We need you to do this." And I won't go into the details of the job, but that's a whole other thing. It's so fun. It's so crazy. Okay, I'll tell the story. It was for a commercial for Mylanta, which is a stomach acid medicine, Mylanta, and Mylicon drops are for babies. They're just, if a baby has an upset tummy, it's a medicine. So the commercial was like a based on a TV show called Leave It to Beaver, where it's this wholesome family, and they have the father and the mother and the child, and it's this, all American good family, sort of thing. And they needed someone to be this woman's voice based on this TV show. And my voice was
mhm.
very similar. So it was like this just nurturing mother voice, right? It was that kind of thing. So I did the commercial. It aired. It was uh, a what they call a regional commercial. So it wasn't national, like a
Do you
Coca-Cola
remember? Do you
national.
remember dialogue? Do you remember dialogue of that commercial? Can you say now once again?
Oh, I used to, Waseem, but it's escaping
You,
me. It's
you
escaping me
can.
the words. I just remember the tone of it as, Like Baby Mila Khan. It was animated. It was an animated commercial,
Oh,
so it had the
okay.
mother and the baby. Oh darn! I wish I could remember some. But you can imagine it, right? You can imagine it. So I did this job, and they liked it, and then they had another job, and another job, and another one, and another one, and through word of mouth, I got all these jobs, and it paid so well, but I never did a demo. I never did any of those things. I just was in the right place at the right time, and I loved it. And I had a knack for it, sort of like they would say, Jeanne, we need you to read this text in exactly 30 seconds or exactly 60 seconds. So you start here and we need you to end at 60 seconds. So for some people that would be terrifying. Like how do I know where I am? But what I did was I was very blessed with writers that knew the pacing. And so I
Mm.
just would read it, and I look at it as I got lucky every time. It just naturally, it was like so much fun. So flash forward, so I did that for years and years and years, and then my life, I had to focus on other things, family, I had a daughter and all that kind of thing. And then what was it? Oh, so when On Passive came along, and it had us starting to dream again, and people saying, "Oh, what did you always want to do as a child, or what are your big dreams or your bigger dreams?" And I started really thinking about it, like, what do I love to do? And I thought about voiceover, and I thought, I always loved it. It came naturally to me. It paid so well. Let me re-explore it. So I went and I took some classes with a voiceover professional to learn about what the industry was doing now, just because things change, technology changes and stuff like that. So I wanted to know how, you go into a recording studio, are they still doing it the same way with the headphones and all that? And so I did that, and then I recorded a demo. This is just a year or so ago. I went up to Albany, New York, and I recorded a demo and all this, and I did. So it basically was repositioning me to do work that I love. Now I haven't been pursuing it because I'm working on passive, right? So I want to focus on passive until that gets rocking and rolling. And then once it does, then I can go and explore getting jobs, getting voiceover jobs, doing audiobooks. You can do audiobooks. I could record voiceover for YouTube videos. And I've done some of that for On Passive with Marty DeGarmo, and a few chalkboard videos. I use my voiceover behind the images. And an interesting thing now is that with AI voices, it's a really interesting place to be, because, how is that going to affect the voiceover industry? Will people always choose AI voices over a natural human voice? I believe that there will always be a place for a natural human voice, because it resonates in a different way. The energy of it is different. Even if an AI voice sounds so close, and for a lot of purposes it works perfectly fine, I feel there will always be a place for a natural human voice, so that the industry doesn't just fall, and people lose all of the potential there. I think it's going to make people get more creative about how they use their voices. And it'll be very interesting to see how that changes. So that was a very long answer to that question. I love voiceover.
So,
It's fun.
so, I think we have many voiceover artists in on passive. John Barilla, sir, he has good
Yes,
voice. Yes. So
absolutely.
his voice, I love his voice and
Hmm.
his bass. So in on passive, uh, who has a good voice in your opinion?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. Oh, so you mean people that just sort of naturally speak and it flows? Michael Williams.
Hmm.
Michael Williams has a
Yes.
beautiful speaking voice. Um, Oh my goodness, this is really putting me on the spot. There's just too many. My mind is just flooding.
Charles,
Uh,
you can Charles also.
oh, I love. Oh, and I'm so glad you brought Charles up because Charles, when I was chatting last night on Let's O with Ron and
Mhm.
Minu, we were talking about the people who brought us into
Yes. Mhm.
ONPASSIVE.
Mhm.
And then also some people were are sharing about the things that really got them locked in, really engaged them, like Mike Ellis's videos and things like that. And I was speaking about my inviter, the person who sponsored me, who's no longer with us, Fred Langschwager. But I meant to also say that the public meetings on Tuesday nights. I don't know if when you joined and whether you remember this, but on Tuesdays it would be just like I don't know, like maybe six or so leaders that were presenting the material of On Passive in a very clear, clean way every Tuesday night for people from the public to come and learn. And it was so, and I was like just listening. I was just listening and learning, during this time. But it was Charles Osong, Susie McCrae, Mike Ellis. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of who else was in there. It was just so beautifully run, and they were so Charles. See, the thing that I love about Charles is he is fire. He is full of fire, and it has never wavered one bit. His passion, and he gets up, he travels the world sharing the story of On Passive. And I'm so amazed and inspired by him. I'm so glad you mentioned him. Wonderful, wonderful speaking. Oh, you're going to make me. Oh, I'm mad now because if you'd asked me that early before, I would have had a nice long list for people. My brain just melted. I
Yes,
just
many,
don't have.
many.
There's too many,
Yes.
especially
Uh,
since we've been doing Shining the Light. There are
yes.
more and more people coming out that have these velvet voices. I
Yes.
love it.
Yes. In Pakistan, I think Aisha Asim voice. I love
Oh,
her
beautiful.
voice. I love her voice. Although she's not in practice, but she has good voice. I think not everyone has naturally good voice. It's a god gifted thing, and some people make effort and make bass, but that is separate. But I think some people god gifted voice, like you said about Michael William and Charles, and many leaders from Born
Oh,
Passive.
Robin Noble. Robin
Robin of
Noble.
yes,
How could I forget
how we fall.
the
I
voice?
think
How could I
she is
forget
number
Robin? Yeah,
one.
Robin.
She's number one voice.
She is the perfect example of someone who is not only gifted with a chocolate voice, just uh, so calming to the nerves, easy on the ears, but it's also the words that she chooses. You know what I mean? And her humor, and it's just so many textures to her voice. Oh gosh, I would have been really upset with myself if I had left this session and not mentioned Robin. Oh my gosh, that's
Uh,
hilarious.
I want to tell a previous funny uh, discussion with Aisha Asim. I
Mm-hmm.
said to Aisha, Aisha, this is a AI based company. I think Robin Noble is not a real person. She's a AI generated voice.
She's AI Robin.
Yeah, because her voice is very accurate and perfect.
Oh, yeah. She's
So
definitely, yeah.
I say maybe Ash is using Ash is doing experiences and checking the founding member who can guess. So this is AI company. So she said, okay. She said no. She's genuine lady, not AI.
She's almost
Because
too perfect. Yeah.
yes, she's over too perfect. So so that's why I said number one in voice, Robin
Hmm.
Nobleman. Yes.
Absolutely.